Aaron's life reminded me about a different life that came to the same end. It's the life of Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician who lived in England, was born 100 years ago. Alan Turing was the greatest mathematician of the 20th century. He not only invented the Turing machine, which is the basis for all modern computing, but Alan Turing also broke the Nazi codes during World War II and allowed the English and the Americans to defeat the Nazis. And you would think that someone like that would be cherished, someone like that who, if he'd managed to have a full life, might have won 1 or 2 or 3 Nobel Prizes. But in fact, he was vilified because he was a homosexual, which at that point in England in those days was illegal. And I'm sure that at that point in England in those days, there were people who said, well, the law is the law. And if you disobey the law, then you should go to prison. And because of that, because his boyfriend turned him in, Alan Turing was convicted of perversity, sentenced to prison, given the choice between spending hard time, years and years of his life, in prison instead of doing the mathematics that he loved, or alternatively to accept estrogen injections. Well, he took the estrogen injection choice, and that broke not only his body, but his mind. And he found that he couldn't do the thing he loved the most, mathematics, any longer. So after 2 years of this, Alan Turing committed suicide. And who lost out of that? Well, Alan Turing lost, but so did all of we. We lost as well. All of us who would have benefited from that first and second and third Nobel Prizes that Alan Turing had in him and that Aaron Schwartz had in him. We're the ones who lose.
Sometimes you wonder what you're doing in a room. In this case, I don't wonder at all. The beginning of tonight, people talked about Aaron as a progressive activist. I fit in with that. Gary Shapiro fits in with that. Jared Pollard fits in with that. Not because we come from exactly the same party or because we always reach the same conclusions, but because, to be honest, stick it to the man, something from my generation, resonates in everyone here tonight. The whole question of whether or not in government we trust isn't a question that's hard to answer. Our Constitution and our upbringing tells us in God we trust. Even if we're atheists, we still look and say, I'd rather trust God than my government. At least I hope that's the way we feel. Because ultimately, trusting a government is inconsistent with our founding words, we the people. Aaron understood that. He and I probably would have found ourselves at odds with lots of decisions, but never with the question of whether information was in fact a human right. Now, our copyright laws were created for the purpose of promoting useful works, not hiding them. Our government and every asset of the government belongs to the American people. Not one piece of federal land is off your ability to walk through at your leisure unless there's a valid reason to prohibit that. That principle, I think Aaron and I would always agree on. The principle that we own our government, we own all the rights and privileges that God gave us, and ultimately, knowledge belongs to all the people of the world unless there's a really valid reason to restrict it.
I want to give my deepest thanks to the members of Congress who are in this room or came earlier. Senator Wyden, Senator Warren, Congressman Grayson, Congressman McGovern, Congressman Issa, Congresswoman Schakowsky, Congressman Polis, Congresswoman Lofgren. I want to thank you for investigating Aaron's death and the case the prosecutors brought against him. We must demand the full cooperation of the Department of Justice so that Aaron's family and I can understand fully what happened. We'll never get Aaron back, but hopefully this investigation can bring us some closure. And I implore you to please pass Aaron's law. America is a better place because Aaron lived. The world is a better place because Aaron lived. And America and the world are a worse place because Aaron died. The least we can do is make the country safe again for the next generation of Aarons.